forget to do this. Thank you. Okay, so our next speaker is someone who I've had the privilege and honor and pleasure of working with over the last few years, and she is Tanya Hoffman. She is the founder of the Public Speakers Association, and she is in Texas. I believe she's in the Dallas area, if I'm not mistaken, and she's going to be speaking at my Women of Influence conference on August 30th in Dallas. I'm so excited. She is one of the most positive people that I've ever met. And when I say there are people who you really want to be in their tribe and get to know them and have them get to know you, Tanya is one of those people that you need in your tribe because she can connect you with some fabulous speakers. She can tell you what speaking opportunities are coming up. If you are not a member of the PSA, why the hell not, right? I'm just full disclosure, I'm a partnering director of the Bay Area for the PSA, so I do a lot on behalf of the PSA and I promote the hell out of them and that sort of thing. So, Tanya, I'm going to turn this over to you. You've got a half an hour. Teach us what you know.
Ooh, so nice. Thank you, Tony. Obviously, this is all about the connection factor, right? And if you don't know Tony well, there's a starting point. You know, nowadays, there's really two types of speakers, and you have to decide which camp you're going to be in. So Tony and I are relationship speakers. And then there's some, I won't name them, that are transactional speakers. And everything that Tony was talking about earlier about, you know, being a diva, a divo, right, is usually because it's more focused on you. Everything is revolving around you. Versus a relationship speaker, it's all about the audience, bringing real value. Not talking so fluffy and get everybody excited and I'm just there to take your money. No, you're there to give value. And not just value to the audience, but value to the event person as well, and value to yourself. So it is a multiple angled kind of you know, perspective that you need as a speaker to look at is how are you developing yourself? Because like Tony was talking to y'all a little bit earlier, it is a who knows who group. You know, it's a very specific group that's small. So when you have a small group, we all tend to know each other, you know, and we talk. Now, it doesn't mean you have to like everybody. There's people who don't like me. There's people who don't like Tony. There's people, you know, that won't like you. That's different. We're just talking in general. How are you there to present yourself? So a lot of times people come to me and they're like, I just want to get paid. I just want to fly in. I want them to fly me in. I want them to put me up. I want them to pay me my speaker's fee. And if they don't do all of that, I'm not coming. Well, that's all good to say. And it's great when people, you know, pay you and pay for everything. But then it's a very much an employee mentality. So when I got into speaking, first I had to get over being an introvert. And I know some of y'all are going, yeah, you were an introvert. I really was. And this is proof. I love showing this picture of me. This was me in 2005. And complete introvert. Prove it. This was at a holiday gala. So ladies, this is what I wore to a gala. Yeah. So after I got over being an introvert and not be able to even remember who my name was when I stood up, you know, and sweating and shaking, right? So after I got through that, then about 2010, I was like, I really get this speaking thing. I see that not only could I do it, but the people that I knew could get involved. And then I started seeing these camps, transactional relationship. And what I found was the transactional people tended to be more employee mindset and very focused just on themselves. versus the relationship, that one was more for entrepreneurs, because we all have a very long-term goal. It's not just, I want everything and gobble, 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 gobble. It's a long progression, because we know that when we get people in close to us, that we have a chance to help them, sales, right? Help them for a long period of time. So is it just a one-off sale that you're looking for? Or is it something that actually will grow? Because in the entrepreneurial world, you have to look at, how does business actually work? When people come around you, especially nowadays, we're not talking about 20 years ago. We're not talking even about 5 years ago. Everything changes. And what worked back then, if this is always something you need to find out from people, are they teaching you something that they learned 20 years ago? Or even 5 years ago? How fresh is the info? Because in this world of digital age, things happen fast. So you have to keep up with what works now. What doesn't work now, right? And a lot of that comes from who you know. Who are you connected to? That's why I created the Public Speakers Association, right? To keep people connected to not only speaking opportunities and get themselves marketed, but also get the freshest new content. What actually works? What doesn't? Why? And the why is always so imperative. Why did it change? A lot of why things change is because people get burned out. So used to, you could pitch from the stage, right? I remember it was about 2010, and I was like, I'm going to do my first pitch from stage. And I did it, and I had my husband, at the table, and I literally saw everyone jump off of their high knees and start running to the back and grab the forms. Yeah, that doesn't happen like that much anymore, right? You get interactions, and you do get people that are ready to buy, but it's different. So if you're thinking right now, wow, I just really want to just go and not have to really think about how am I going to pay for the travel, and you have to start looking at speaking as a marketing platform for your business. So I know, hold on, you need a marketing budget. And I know most of y'all are going to go, budget? What? But you need to be putting some money aside from your sales in order to market yourself. And speaking is the most effective marketing you can do. Even paid speaking, right? Where you pay to go and speak, where you're sponsoring an event. Some of the biggest names out there don't get paid, but will pay to be on someone's stage, because if it's the right target market, doesn't that make sense? I was just talking to a business coach, and he said to me that he's averaged out every client he gets he spends about $1,000 on. So of course, if he's only having to spend maybe $2,000 to go speak on a stage, that he can convert that room into, 5, 6 new clients. Don't you think that was well worth investment? Now, if you go someplace to speak and it's not for business, that's called philanthropy, right? I have philanthropy projects. I go speak, especially for underprivileged children, a lot. I love that. But that's my give back, right? That's part of my budget for my give back campaigns. A lot of times people want to speak at schools because they know they can change a lot of the kids' lives. Again, philanthropy, give back. You're not really looking to make money from it. And most, school systems and universities have slashed their budgets so much that there really isn't a paid speaking opportunities as much anymore. And again, every once in a while, you'll have it. I was just talking to a gentleman who's like, I'm a keynote speaker. I like keynotes. So I'm going to explain to you really quickly why you want workshops and not the keynotes. Now, the keynote is usually the one that gets paid, but that's usually one person. Now, you could go for that one person opportunity, but they pay you, so you're now employed by them, flying in, getting on stage, doing your talk, and leaving. Rarely do you even get a chance to collect any data from those people because they're paying you. This isn't a, hey, you get to do whatever you want moment. So to me, the keynote is not very effective because I'm only making that much money. Now versus the workshops. So you'll have to look at most of the conferences that I send out. Like I'm about to send out another one I found. So I'm finding opportunities and then I send them out. And then people get to look through and go, is that a good target for me? Because if you're wanting to speak about health and wellness, and you see a financial association event, I don't know, will they resonate with wanting to be healthy? Or are they looking more of just the finance? Sometimes it's about angling it as well. So I was talking to a health and wellness lady, and I said she should get into the ITIS world. It's a huge, massive market. They're coming up all the time. Now, they're not going to ask for a health and wellness. They're looking for software development and, JavaScript and, all these words that you're like, huh? But then I said, you have to angle it so that you're talking to that target market. So all of those guys and ladies are sitting in cubicles, hunched over all day long, drinking, sodas and energy drinks and eating chips and not good stuff. How are you going to help them? Because now you have a possibility of getting into that conference. Angle it towards the event. But you look through the lineup of opportunities and you apply. Now, the reason you apply for a workshop versus a keynote. Keynote, that's all you're going to be able to be paid. Keynote, you're talking to the entire group. Now, most of you are going, yeah, I want to talk to all 1,000 people. Really? Really, all 1,000? Yay, that's called an ego rub, okay? I get to talk to 1,000 people. They all have to sit there and listen to me. Yes, but you want to be effective. It's not a rah-rah moment. You want this to turn into business. So a workshop, you're in a lineup of, maybe 20, 50, 100 other workshops. Maybe there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other workshops going on at the exact same time as you. I love that. Why? Because the people who walk into your door for your workshop, you have now filtered that 1,000 people into the 100 that are specifically attracted to your subject. You have now filtered out anyone who isn't going to be interested. And you've gotten to the top 10 to 20% who are ready to buy. See how much more effective that is? Versus that person sitting at a table with 1,000 other people and they're like, wow, I love what she's saying. And then the guy next to her goes, oh my God, I can't believe she's going to be doing that. I can't believe she said that. And suddenly you have that negativity because he wasn't your target market. So workshops are incredibly effective for you to filter. I love filtering in and especially out. Because the more you can get to that top 10 to 20% who really, really, really want your information, you now have a better chance of converting that whole room. Also, if you have 1,000 people, say for some weird reason the event actually gives you all the attendees. Do you think you would actually be able to go through all 1,000 to find the 100 that are actually interested? No, most people, they start picking up the phone. The first 20 is like, wait, no, I didn't like that. What? And then you never finish and you never find the 100. So again, workshops, incredibly effective. Workshops are usually longer, right? So I just applied for one. It's 90 minutes. 90 minutes, you could really teach some great stuff and filter those people in for a sell. Now, most speaking opportunities nowadays do not allow you to sell from stage unless it's a personal event like the Public Speakers Association. We don't allow selling from stage, only for the sponsors. So if they pay to be there, they get to sell because they're spending money with us. So a lot of times at events, I never get to sell, but you're selling the whole time, right? People are like, wow, she's really cool. She knows a lot, right? Now you get their information. Now, how do you get their information? Because again, most events will not give you the contact information. They won't even allow you to send like a, here, fill out this form to see who's here. Or if they do, chances are you're not going to be able to read it, or they give you a fake one. So how do you really get the people in the room to give you their information? So I do contests. I love doing a contest. So it's usually a form that you're going to send out, and you have to get approval. Most of the time, they won't have any problem with you giving away something. Now, what do you give away? You give away what you're wanting them to buy, or something very close to it. Because remember, you can't talk about your business at these events. You are, but you can't. I know that sounds crazy, right? So if I was, say I'm on there talking about the Public Speakers Association, I can mention some things, about marketing and all, and why I know so much, but they want real training at these events. They will want to pitch, even though you're kind of, you're letting people know the whole time. So you really want to kind of dive into it at the end. Well, you can't, because you can't pitch. So how do you do that? You give away what you're wanting to tell them. So here's a form for each one of you. I'm going to give away a membership to the Public Speakers Association. Or if you're coaching, I'm going to give away my coaching package. Right? You give away what you want to sell, because then you could go into, you could join the Public Speakers Association. Someone's going to win it, and you're going to get all the emails sent to you with all the opportunities to speak, associations, corporate industry conferences, TEDx talks, radio shows, TV shows, whatever I can find. You're also going to get to be on my TV show. You're going to be on virtual summits every month. You're going to get to be on 2 video series. There's so much that you're going to get. So at the end, I just told them what I want them to buy. But now they're waiting. You always pull who the winner is, because all the other people are going to go, I really still want that. If you wait and pull it afterwards, they won't buy because they're waiting to see if they won, right? So pull up really quickly. Make sure that they tell them, make sure I can read your name, your email, and your phone number. Or if I pick you and I can't read it, you don't win, right? So now you've got very clear information. I'm also going to be sending you the email on how to get the free membership. So make sure your email is correct. So now you got a real email address. You see, it's all about being very clear and walking them step by step. There's usually a helper in the room, or it's very easy. So, can someone collect those real quick? Someone will always pop up. Collect, mix, have someone pull, doesn't matter who wins. Now, I know a lot of you are going to go, I can't give away a whole coaching session. And the reality is the person who wins 99% of the time won't ever follow up with it. Again, if you give something away, that person probably will not follow up and not take advantage of it. It's just what happens. So even for myself and my husband, we do websites all the time for people, their whole speaker, I got a whole speaker tackle box website that I'm working on right now. And it's everything that they need, all the technical stuff. They don't have to do any of it. You've got calendar systems and, apply here and forms and blah, 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 right? Everything. Most people, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't give away all of that because that is a lot. I mean, that costs me money. But again, most of the time, people don't take advantage of what they win for free. And if you do, great. So when you start really looking at the opportunities that are out there, look at, okay, if I get one client, how much is that? Now, if it's $50, it's going to be very hard for you to go any place to have a, speaking opportunity. You'll have to do a lot locally. If you're starting to sell your book, you really have to just stay local because it's going to take a lot of sales in order to just get you to zero. Most speaking opportunities, if it's like, I'm in Texas, so if I'm running around Texas, it's about $500 to run around Texas, right? I'm in Austin, so if I needed to go to Dallas and spend the night, it's about $250, $500. If I'm flying, now we're looking at $1,000 to $1,500 to fly someplace, have a hotel room, maybe have to get a car, all the other stuff that goes along with it. If it's someplace like the heart of New Orleans, the heart of San Francisco, the heart of New York City, now you're bumping it to about $2,000, $2,500. So you have to really know your numbers. And I'm not much of a numbers girl. I mean, I like, yeah, let's just have fun, right? But you have to look at, if I sell something, how many do I need just to cover the cost? And then you should make more. Now, you should always make more. It's pretty rare that you don't make more, right? $1,000, $1,500. We have to have a big discussion if you don't feel like you can do that, okay? And I'm totally open to helping y'all and just kind of looking at what you've got going on. Because a lot of times it's just a little tweaking. I love tweaking. Everything I do is about tweaking. Because you listen to what people say and you tweak it. You listen to feedback and you tweak something. You also listen to what do people keep asking you for, and then you offer it. So here's something to throw at you. When you are at an event, say you're doing a workshop, because this has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to Tony. So I'm at a workshop. I have all the flyers. Oh, I've got them ready. They're ready to go. I've got them all printed. They look so good, right? Ready to sign people up. And then you get there and you start talking to the group. And then you realize what you brought and you were going to cover is not going to fit that group. They may be more advanced or less advanced than what you're trying to sell them into. So what I always do is I walk around with a tablet with my, we've got a thumb drive, some type of zip drive that you can throw things on. Maybe a laptop is always very helpful. Nowadays, you can do a lot of it on your phone. And you have it an edible file that you can tweak, like right then. And I know a lot of you are going to go, oh, but my gosh, I printed 150 copies. Throw them in the trash. Just throw away. Don't worry about it, right? It's money worth spent because you learned what will sell there. So I don't want you to go to an event, even especially a massive one, right, where you are pulling from lots of people and you're trying to get them into your room. I want you to talk to people. I want you to go to the expo. I want you to get engaged with the group before you walk into your workshop. because by then you will have known if you're right on target or they are way more advanced and you need to give them something different, or you're about to blow out their mind and they won't understand, or they're going to be too scared to take advantage of it. So be prepared to throw what you're about to talk about out the window and start fresh. Even if you don't get a chance and you start in your conversations, ask them questions right there in front of the group, right? Especially if you've got time, just kind of throw out to kind of gauge. How many people here are entrepreneurs? Oh, great. How many here have been in business for more than a year? How many people have been in business for 5 years, right? You're gauging where they are right in front of you, and then adjust. And because a lot of times too, you're not really going to get to talk to those people, right? You got all their contest forms. Now you're going to go back and you're going to send them an email, or better off, call them. But this is all doable. You can truly change lives, because I know each one of you is a relationship speaker, and you're going to want to get in and you're going to change those people's lives. That's why you're in this, is to get in front of people to make transformation happen. You have to do it. If you don't, who will? You have to be the one, because you're the one they're waiting for. Not everybody, a percentage. It doesn't matter. I've seen the worst presentations ever still land that person $5,000 client, because they touched the person they were meant to touch that day. So stop trying to please the world. Focus on that person that you're here to change their life. And if you don't get out there and you don't get in front of them, you cannot do that. You cannot accomplish your goal of changing the world from the front of the room. I love my motto. So, in conclusion, I want to help you. I love talking to people. I love connecting to fabulous people. Now, I do have 2 rules for the association. You have to be nice. No mean, grumpy, negative people are allowed. The other one is you can't be perfect. Okay, you can be a recovering perfectionist like I am, but you can't be perfect. You can't allow, think everyone has to be perfect, because nothing ever happens. So if that sounds like you, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Okay, so go to my website. Ready to write it down? Public Speakers with an S, Association, all spelled out, .com. And right there on the homepage, poof, my little pop-up calendar pops up at the bottom. You'll see my little face. Click on that, select a time that works for you. And then let's have a chat. Let me see how I can help you. Let me answer any questions you have about the speaking world. I know a few people, so I love connecting people. You should be on radio shows and TV shows like all the time. You should have fun all the time. If you're not having fun, let's alleviate, right? We were just hearing from that fabulous woman to talk about de-stressing. De-stress your life by having more fun, being around the people you want to be around, and knowing that you're about to change somebody's life. That, to me, is the most gratifying thing ever. So thank you, Tony, for having me on today. I adore you. And thank you all for having me here. And I hope I brought you some moments to think about. Thanks.
Yay! And Tanya, I adore you, so I want to thank you for those tips. And so I want to piggyback off of a couple of things that you said. Number one, you mentioned transactional speakers, which I really understand. I appreciate it. I get really, really fed up with speakers who sort of show up, right before they get ready to go on stage, and then they leave, right? before anyone has had a chance to get to know them. I also hate speakers who, and this is just my pet peeve, I hate speakers who know that they're going to be speaking on a specific date, and things change. Like we've had a couple of speakers who had to reschedule for whatever reason for this call, and that means that the schedule shifts. That's the way that things are. You should always, always, always stay in contact with the meeting planner to make sure that you know exactly what time you're going to be going on. And I try not to book anything else for that day if I know I'm speaking, right? Because you never know what's going to come up, and I get speak. Oh, I've got a client call, and I understand that we all have businesses to run. This is a small part of it, but the point is, if you're scheduled to speak, and a meeting planner may come to you and say, "Listen, we've had a cancellation. We want to give you more time." If you're not there, you've lost out. Or we want to do something special with you. And if you're not there, and if people don't know you, they're not going to do business with you. One other thing, or two other things that I want to point out: don't flake out. If I have to be nearly on my deathbed in order for me not to show up for a speaking gig, or something really tragic has had to happen in order for me not to show up for a speaking engagement. And one of the things, and Tanya, you can speak to this a little bit more. One of the things that I'm seeing a lot of speakers do, and this is really bad form and very unprofessional, are speakers who will flake out, not show up because they got a better deal, a better offer. Are you seeing that, Tanya?
Not only speakers, but event planners. So, I was booked for a big event, and I've been promoting. I was spending a lot of money and time helping her promote and market her event. And then a week later, week right before the conference, I had everything booked. We're talking flights, hotel, everything. And she contacts me and says, "Hey, I need to give your speaking spot to someone who wants to pay me for it." And I was like, "What?" And she literally bumped me, and I had told all the speakers I was going to be there. And then suddenly, people were like, "Why aren't you here, Tanya? Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh," and I told them right up front, "Oh, she bumped me for someone who's paying." And so you got to be really careful of both directions.
Yeah, absolutely. Tanya, I know I heard you mention this about paying to speak. I charge speakers to be on my stages or on my video platforms or whatever. And part of the reason why I do that, and this is so important, part of the reason why I do that is that none of this is cheap or free. You've got to overhead whenever you do any sort of workshop or what have you. Plus, when you get speakers who flake out on you, Tanya, I know you get this all the time because you work with a lot of speakers. When you get speakers who flake out on you, you still have to pay for the room or the promotion, that you're spending your money on. And so, yes, I charge speakers a nominal amount to be on anything that I'm doing because it helps me to underwrite the costs, and that's so important because it's real easy. Your room rental is probably your largest expense. It's real easy to go broke doing these, right? So part of the reason why I do charge is because it helps to offset the cost that I might incur for doing these, right? And I'm not running a nonprofit, so I've got to generate revenue like everybody else. So, FYI, you mentioned something else about hosting contests. This is one of the things, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is one of the things that I do. It's a form that I created. It's called my influential networking form. And essentially what people do, I pass this out and people fill this out and they tell me specifically what they need and how I can help them in order to grow their business, whether it's contacts or resources that I can help them with. And then that way I know not only what they need, and I know what to sell them, right? Because I don't sell just anything. I want to be able to sell you something that you actually need and can use. So that's the reason why it's important to know who's in the audience and why they're there. Tanya, what are some other pet peeves that you have with speakers? I want to get this out of the way because I don't think we talk about this nearly enough. What are some other pet peeves that you have?
Obviously, you never take longer on stage than you have. When they telling you, it's time, zero, you need to be off the stage, not wrapping it up and doing your last minutes. You need to be off the stage at that time. So, for me on my conferences, everything is down to the minute. So all of my MCs and everyone, we've got everything scheduled down. So if someone bumps, well, that's not fair to everybody else. Even if it's a potty break time, that's still a big chunk that people need. And so don't do that ever to event planners or ask them for more time. I've had people do that too. They'll come up during the event. I mean, we got everything all lined out. And they're like, hey, can I have more time? Can you squeeze more time in? I heard so-and-so is not going to be here. Well, yeah, so-and-so is not going to be here. I've already adjusted for that, obviously. So yeah, don't do that to people.
Yeah, my rule is this, and I don't know if you feel this way, and then we're going to open this up to everybody else. But my rule is this: if a meeting planner can give you more time, they will come to you and they will say, "Hey, can you stretch it out?" Or whatever. The same way that we usually tell you what time, or how much time you got remaining. That is the same way that we're going to tell you whether or not we can give you more time if it's a lot of it. You're right. We tend to sort of schedule it out and we sort of figure out if the speaker is not going to come, what we're going to do at that time. My rule is when a speaker flakes out, I move everybody up one. That's the reason why I ask everyone to call in at 10 in case there are any last minute changes. And then if I can stretch it out a little bit, then I'm going to certainly do that. So that's really good. Do you have anything else that you wanna add before we open it up to questions and comments?
Yeah, just a lot of it seems like it's, should be common sense, but you'd be surprised how many people don't have that. You don't talk bad about people, at a conference or the conference itself. You're on social media. A lot of what you're wanting to do on social media while you're at an event is promoting that you're there and that you're connecting with all these amazing people, right? So you're taking lots of selfies and everything, but don't turn around and say something negative, especially while you're at someone's event. It's all common sense, but you would be surprised how many people don't.
Well, yeah, and here's another one. And it sounds like we're giving away our pet peeves, but we probably are. But here is one of the other things. Don't hand me your intro and your topic at the last minute, right before you get ready to get on stage. I hate that. Tanya, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's kind of disrespectful to the meeting planner that this is sort of an afterthought. Do you feel the same way or no?
Well, and especially like for me, last year I had a lady who switched her topic while she was on stage, which then conflicted with someone else later on in the event. So whatever you told someone you were going to speak about, you stick with that. Even if you've changed something, you have to get it change beforehand because it could have ripple effects through the whole event. So now I had suddenly other speakers upset because she was talking about something she was not approved for. So just stick to what you agreed with. If you need changes, verify it beforehand, not while you're at the event. Because a lot of times, I don't know about you, Tony, but I really can't think much when I'm at my event. Everything kind of goes in and there, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I can't. Everything is like too. So.
Yeah, don't send me your introduction the day of the event and ask me to read it because I'm focused on one thing, and if you want me to read something, I'm okay with that. I would prefer if you send it to me a couple of days prior and say, hey, can you read this? And don't make it your introduction war and peace, right? Nobody's got, because that eats into your time, and nobody's got time for that. So there you have it. Go ahead. I want to open it up to the floor. And if you have questions for Tanya, please unmute yourself and ask away.
And I will be booking for the London, England conference for next year at my conference. So if you want to go to London, England and speak, let me know.
Yeah, I've been trying to get there for a while, and just other stuff has come up. So I'm an instant yes. So there you have it. Any questions or comments before we move on?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
I know. I don't know about what's the matter with my camera, but Tanya, that was great information. This is Linnea Hagen.
Hey.
Hi. It's so good to see your smiling face. Anyway, that was inspirational, and I think the tips were very, very, very powerful. And I have a question. How should I put this? How is the most effective way to get speaking engagements, like on cruise ships and in foreign countries? Because I have two passions. One is gifting people with not information, but the inspiration and some of the wisdom and experiences I've had in order to make their lives and their businesses better. The other thing is to travel as much as possible, because if I'm not traveling somewhere, I'm kind of saying, okay, well, what's on my bucket list? I've got to see everything on that. So I have spoken. I spoke at an educational conference in Nice, and I also spoke on a couple of workshops on a cruise.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight or?
Yeah, and if you're looking to speak internationally and nationally, so if you just want to travel, it's always about who getting connected to other speakers, and then finding places that actually send you speaking opportunities, which is why I started PSA, because I found even speakers bureaus, they're not actually sending you speaking opportunities. They're usually only booking their top 1%. So let's talk, tell you that's the truth. So you have to really find venues, through opportunities. And cruise ships, I see a few of them that come up. You could go through their HR department, but most people don't really realize what that actually means to be booked to speak on a cruise. And especially the living conditions that you're going to be asked to live in. So it's not like you're going to have a nice states room.
Oh, so that's good to know.
Is the difference between having a stateroom and being a guest? Some of them, I think, will pay at least a portion of your fare, or being an employee. I don't want to be an employee, because employees have at least.
So there's a difference between being a speaker on a conference on a cruise ship and being booked with a cruise ship to speak on their cruises. So yeah, there's conferences that happen a lot. I've had an actual conference on a cruise ship. I will never do that again. It was a nightmare. There's so many things I could tell you about it that you don't think about. Real quick, you never use a PowerPoint on a cruise ship, because they have a tendency to have the pull down screens sway and everyone gets sick. So again, things you don't think about.
That's not a good effect to have on an audience.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was not a good thing. But yeah, let's have a talk. I put my information in the chat window, so just reach out to me. Let's have a chat.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And anyone else? Questions, comments?
I would like to say thank you. It was really nice, and you kind of straightened out a question mark for me between the keynote or why not to take the keynote and instead take the workshops. That was really, really good information. I never thought of it that way before.
Yeah.
Yes,
Everyone
I
always
will.
wants to get the paid speaking gigs, and I'm like, you lose money that way.
Yeah, and also that they are not always going for you. They are coming for the whole thing, and they might be, like you said, toxic, sitting beside someone who is really interested, so
Yeah.
it hurt you. And also, I would love to know the details about London. That's not so far away from here.
Yeah.
That
Well,
would
make
be an
sure
easy trip.
y'all get connected to me and send me an email or something. That way I can put you into email when I'll be starting to promote London at the conference in Vegas, July 6th through the 8th. So if you want to go to Vegas to my conference, love for you to be there. Publicspeakersconference.com. I'll put it in here. We do have a couple speaker spots open. Some attendee spots. So we'd love to have everyone there. So we'll be promoting it there, and I would love for everyone to be in London next year. So we're only going to be looking for 20 speakers next year for London.
Kim
Yeah.
Metcalf raised her hand. Kim, did you have a question? Unmute yourself.
I love both of you.
Thank you. We love you too.
Yes. And one of the things I wanted to say, Tanya, both you and Tony hit on some really, really important issues. Tanya, I love the tips. What I really want to say to everyone is, like Tony said, get connected with Tanya. She really does work really hard for those of us that connect with her. And what I notice is even outside of the box, because a lot of times I've had some, issues and when you're just starting off in a business, you need people like Tony and Tanya, people that can really guide you and that are patient with you while we're starting off. And I think one of the things that happens that, people want to speak and they don't understand how important it is to build relationships, and that those relationships take a lot of time. And sometimes you run into roadblocks. And I think, some people get really negative really fast, and they'll be like, well, this didn't happen or that didn't happen. And not understanding that Tony and Tanya, there's a lot on their plate. Every time I call one of them, it cracks me up because they actually answer the phone. I mean, they actually call back. They actually respond. I said to Tanya, I cannot believe you always answer the phone, and she always knows who I am. Hi, Kim. And, stick with people who really, really care. When people really, really care, and when they're passionate about what they do, because they are helping you, even when they're not making a dime. And trust me, Tanya will know what I'm talking about, because I have had to drive the girl crazy. Okay. But, all of the good tips, Tanya, I mean, everything. The one question I do have for both of you is, for someone like me who's really into the education field, is I don't know how to really book for those types of events. And I can talk about business and who to stick with and who not to stick with and things like that. But how can we do anything to open it up, to reach out, to get to more teachers and coaches and mentors and people that need really good tips about parenting and how to interact with kids that are at risk? Do you guys have any tips for that? Do you want to go in and try to do an expo on that? I mean,
I'm gonna let Tanya take this, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Okay.
Well, I think, you'll always make more money in the business realm. So that's why you kind of focus on that realm. Okay. Because there's like a conference every other, day for something in the business, genre. But if you're wanting to hit more teachers, education, parents, a lot of times people have that focus on the personal relationship side of things. There are a gazillion associations for that arena. So you just need to search out, teachers, organizations, associations, parenting, go and look at meetup groups, those are a dime a dozen, and then also Facebook groups. So you got to look at a gazillion different Facebook groups are for moms, for fathers, for, teens, issues with your teens. There's so many out there and bring value. Don't try to sell, bring value to them, and you'll naturally attract people.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you.
so here's my excuse me, here's my thought. For those of you who don't know, on July 16th, 17th, and 23rd, I'm going to be doing a series of video workshops and conferences. On July 23rd, Dr. Kim is going to be speaking at my parent-teacher-teen conference. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing is reaching out to schools and asking them to join us, on the live chat, and invite parents to attend and that sort of thing. And we're all going to be sort of giving our 2 cents in, on the subject of raising teens and parenting, communication, that sort of thing. So that's one thing. Secondly, one of the things you should be doing now, since the event is next month and going forward, is that you should be going on Google and making a list of schools and finding out who's in charge of meeting planning, who's in charge of booking speakers, that sort of thing. And there's 2 reasons why you want to do that. One, because you want to book yourself as a speaker. You want to pitch the idea to them of, well, I want to do a 1-day workshop on parent, teachers, and teens. 2, you want to invite them and solicit their help in getting the word out about wherever any other future events that you're going to be speaking at. So now is the time to start building those relationships. And Tanya said something really rather important. Speakers have a tendency of, and I'm going to be a little critical, of wanting to have everything sort of handed to them without doing the work and building the relationship. This is a relationship industry. You have to build a relationship if you want the sale, if you want the excuse me, the revenue. And one of the things that I always tell speakers is, my events are small by nature, but they're powerful because it's all about community. I ask my 2 questions: what do you need? And how can I help you grow your business? How can we help each other? So one of the things that you should do, Dr. Kim, is you should start building a relationship with those schools. Once you do that, once you say, I want to do a free talk on, XYZ, and see what, it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to reach out. You gotta send the emails. You gotta make the phone calls. You gotta do the work. You gotta meet with some of these people if it's applicable, and you gotta build a relationship. If you're not willing to do that, this is not going to work. You're gonna have a really, really hard time doing it. And just as a side note, I speak at NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners, all the time. Part of the reason why I get invitations to speak there. Part of the reason why that has happened is because I built a relationship with certain members of NABO, people who can help get me in front of their core audience. So start building the relationship with people who can help you. And that goes for anyone up on this call who wants to, do more public speaking. That's how you do it. Did that answer your question?
You know what? I'm so happy to hear what you just said, because I started doing that literally last week. I reached out to a radio show here and wanted to go on and, different things like that. And it is working. But then I've had other people that say, why are you giving away your services? And so I'm happy to hear you say that, because I believe that that's how I do get in front of people, is to be able to offer them something that doesn't cost any money, so that they can see that there's value and that they want more. So thank you, Tony. You've confirmed something for me, which has gone, which other people have said, you're crazy. You're a doctor. You're giving away information. But I want to give it away sometimes, because I just think it's really important that our youth, can discover who they really are. I mean, I'm passionate about what I do. So thank you. And that's great.
You're welcome. And please understand, there's a difference between giving away free information and giving useful content that's going to garner more business, okay? There's a huge difference between the two. I give away free advertising all the time, but I realize that, my advertising revenue is a small fraction of, what I do. Plus, that's probably going to lead to more advertising revenue, because if you try it out for 3 months or 6 months or whatever, excuse me, and you're getting the exposure that you want, then you'll probably be open to spending money with me, if I'm running a special or, whatever. So don't listen to people who say, oh, you don't know what you're doing, and screw them, right? If what you're doing is working and it's getting in front of the people, there are multiple ways to make free stuff pay off and turn it into revenue. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you both.
My pleasure. Any other questions before we move on?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is Frances Pitt.
Hi, Frances.
Hi.
Hey, Francis.
Hey, I wanted to say thank you, Tanya, for always explaining in such a manner that we get what you're saying. And I always appreciate the energy that comes forth as you speak. And I look forward to being with you in a couple of weeks.
Yay. I know. I can't wait to see you.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
I have
Yay.
something to say, Tony. You two are rocking it. I'm
Hey,
so
Rhonda.
excited, and you're speaking my heart. Tony, I love that you have these small events, and I know that they get questioned sometimes, like I think it's just a new way out there. You get more time in front of people, and sometimes you're collaborating even with the other speakers. So I feel like there's never a loss. It's as entrepreneurs, speakers, we're out there or moving forward. So I was just talking about that this morning. So I really love what you do, Tony and Tanya. I can't wait till Vegas. And now you're talking about London. It's time to party. It's time to serve a new community. Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
And let me speak to what Rhonda was just talking about. Bigger is not always better. I speak in front of larger groups, 100 or more. I speak in front of smaller groups. Smaller groups are a lot easier for me because I can connect with people. I always feel like if you're speaking to more than 100 people, you can't really get to know them. They can't really get to know you. And it's hard to find out what other people need when you've got 100 or more people in a room. So smaller seems to be working. That seems to be my lane. Under 100 people, that seems to be my lane because I can really connect with the audience that way in a way that I can't when there's 300 people in a room. You know what I mean? So that's what Rhonda was speaking on. We've had a number of discussions on that. Tanya, do you want to add to that or?
Yeah, a lot of people, they're like, I want to speak in front of 1,000 people. I've been there. I've been in front of 3,000. And yes, that is, if you just multiply, that's 6,000 eyeballs. So, oh my gosh. But when you start looking at it, it was just eyeballs. And for me, it really is about changing lives and having that connection to someone that I can find out who they are. And to me, you can't do it for 3,000 people. So like Tony says, I love the smaller venues. A lot of people discount them, but they are way more effective. And if you see the big speakers, not the ones that just get paid, not the celebrity ones, but the guys that they get it, they all speak for around 30 to 50 people, even for their own events. So don't always look at, I need it to be over 100 people at least. Those I've had, the other day I went to Colorado and spoke in front of 20 people and walked out with 15,000. So, and that's just walking out. That's not even further from there. So yeah, you don't discount those little groups.
Yeah, absolutely. I did my Women of Influence conference in San Diego with Rhonda, ironically enough. And we had, on day one, we had about 35, maybe 40 people. And day two, we had more people. We had close to, I think, 60 people who registered, and they were in and out through the entire day. But one of the speakers, I made money off of it. I won't speak for Rhonda, but one of the speakers, who I won't tell you who it was, said, she walked up to me a few weeks later and she said, I walked out of there with something like $12,000 worth of business, which was great for me to hear for, one of my events. And she said, it was amazing because, you would think that that kind of money, you would have, a few hundred people in the room. But she was like, it was less than 100 people. And I walked out of there with business. And that's what you want. That's exactly what you want. You want to be able to connect with people who can really understand where you're coming from. They want to do business with you. They want to get to know you. You want to get to know them. And that's really the key. So.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just, for all of you to know, I'm an educational psychologist, and one of the things we always say is less is more. And if you really want to be effective, you don't want a group larger than 40. You're stretching it at 50. But your point is so well taken, but no more than 40 or 50 people, because you cannot connect with them. So we always say that. Even a lot of professors want to teach to these huge, massive lecture halls, and I never wanted to. I always said, just give me a small class, no more than 50, because I can't connect if I'm with these huge, just hundreds of people, and they're walking in and out, and there's a lot of disruption. And so that's the other reason why you want to keep it small, because in a large group, people feel like, well, nobody's really paying attention to me. So they're in and out, they're talking with each other, but you get a lot more concentration with the smaller group. So I think you're right on with that, Tony, just to give you my professional opinion.
One of the things you could do also really quickly, if you're needing to filter, like if you got a large group, one time I had 250 people in the audience, and I needed to get out any of the naysayers, the really bottom 20%, is just start off by saying, now anybody who doesn't like a bubbly personality, you can leave now. And we're just going to talk about boom, 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 boom. And then it's amazing how many people stood up and left. And when they left, everyone was like, oh my gosh, those people left. I'm like, yay, okay, now we got down to the people who I love. And that really resonated with the people who stayed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll take one more question or comment, and then we're going to move on. Yes, no, maybe? All right. So